Sadly for me, the results were negative. I am neither a kid nor a squid, so I cannot play Splatoon 3. So I'm gonna vent my frustration by talking about ARMS because I feel like getting my revenge on Min players in Smash. What was clearly supposed to be a cash cow akin to Splatoon or Mario ended up being a curious note in the Switch library. It's been a little over 5 years since ARMS released, and other than Min being in Smash and the cancellation of a comic, there has been next to no news of ARMS since then. So why didn't ARMS take off? Well, grab a drink, hit the subscribe button, and I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, Twintel's a good character. She's a very good video game character. I can't even focus on the game.
When Nintendo did their Nintendo Switch presentation in January 2017, among the many games shown was a curious new title called ARMS. I can't speak for everyone, but my reaction to the title was, well, that game is weird. But hey, it was a new fighting game, it seemed something different from other titles, and it used the Joy-Cons. Plus, it seemed like a good stopgap between the early titles like Zelda and Mario Kart, and later titles like Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Go watch my Xenoblade recap for my thoughts on that title. Nintendo had a really smart strategy for the first year of the Switch, have a big hitting title almost every month. Considering the launch year had a Zelda, 2 Mario titles, a Pokemon, and a Fire Emblem, Nintendo could take some risk with a weird new IP like ARMS. And given that Nintendo is good at making weird titles sell well, people were ready to see what ARMS could do. ARMS released in June 2017 to a middle-of-the-road reception. If you're familiar with the Z-Man cinematic universe, you know I reviewed this title way back in the day. Unfortunately, the hard drive that had all of my ARMS footage on got corrupted, and I sold my copy for strong zero money, and I kind of don't want to buy a new copy of ARMS just for this video. If Watch Mojo could be exploitative bastards, so can I. My opinion at the time was that ARMS had some fun in it, and it was a fresh take on the fighting game genre, and the character designs were pretty cool, especially Twintail and her
fat ass.
However, the game seriously lacked content. I remember friends coming over, playing it for about 10 minutes, and then going straight back to Mario Kart or Smash on the Wii U. There was also no button mapping at launch, so you had to use the Joy-Cons, which double sucked if your Joy-Cons got the drift like mine. Memory is a bit hazy, but I don't remember too much chatter for this game after launch. Despite these issues, ARMS sold a solid 2 million units and attracted a fandom who liked that unique style of fighting. Nintendo updated the game through 2018 and announced that Ian Flynn would be penning a graphic novel. In addition, Nintendo held online ARMS events all the way through 2020. Imagine your game getting less competitive support than ARMS. Couldn't be me. ARMS also made an appearance at EVO Japan 2018 and almost EVO 2017, but thankfully Marvel vs. Capcom 3 won that donation drive. After 2018, ARMS news went silent for a bit until 2020 when ARMS would be getting a free-to-play weekend, as well as Min joining Smash Bros. Ultimate as the first fighter of Fighters Pass 2. And since then, we've heard absolutely nothing. So why did ARMS fail to take off? Well, I have 2 reasons behind that. I think the biggest issue of ARMS was that it just didn't hook people. The combat could be fun, but it lacked something. It's like the game hit a weird spot where it was too hard for casuals, but not deep enough for hardcore fighting game fans. Casuals were put off having to learn a bunch of mechanics and ARM layouts just to get bodied by the CPU and glue huffers online. Hardcore fighting game fans preferred more traditional 2D or 3D fighters. Then Smash Ultimate was announced in early 2018, which basically killed any interest in ARMS. Nintendo also had a bit of an esports push for ARMS that I laugh at for anyone trying to take seriously. What everyone agrees on though was that ARMS seriously lacked content. This has been an issue with other Nintendo titles where they just release a game half-baked and hope they fill in the gaps for free later and pray that people still play. My sweet Mario Golf, what have they done to you? Outside of the core fighting, there was little else to see or do in ARMS. And if you were constantly getting washed online, there was little reason to go back to the game. Compare this to Splatoon, which also launched with a lack of content, but Splatoon had unique gameplay that never got old, and it being a team-based game means you can get carried or mauled at your teammates without acknowledging you suck at games. With no reason to keep playing ARMS and no meaningful content updates besides characters and balance changes, people just moved on to other titles. So why won't there be an ARMS sequel? Was a sequel ever planned? This is total speculation on my end, and I could be 100% wrong, but this is what I think happened to ARMS. I have no doubt a sequel was being planned at some point pre-pandemic. After all, an ARMS rep was DLC for Smash, and it's not like Nintendo would have put in an ARMS character as DLC if they didn't have plans for the series. My guess is the characters for Fighters Pass 2 were being finalized around mid to late 2019, when Sakurai confirmed a Fighters Pass 2 was happening. And at that time, an ARMS sequel might have been in some sort of planning stage. But for whatever reason, since Min Min launched for Smash, an ARMS sequel failed to materialize. Be it the pandemic hitting production, or Nintendo wanting to put their efforts towards other games, or maybe Nintendo just doesn't see ARMS as a viable franchise. Not helping was Ian Flynn confirming around 2021 that the ARMS graphic novel was cancelled, which only adds to my speculation that Nintendo has no plans for the series. And if that's the case, that's a lousy note to go out on. When Kazuya threw Min Min off the cliff, he threw the future of the series off with her. Unfortunately, Kazuya also threw Pit and Falcon off that edge at that E3 trailer, so I don't think we're going to be seeing a new Kid Icarus or F-Zero anytime soon, which is a real shame if you're a big fan of weird Nintendo IPs like me. So anyway, that's my look at what killed ARMS finished, and I hope you, I hope you learned something new today. I do find it fascinating that we saw this franchise basically fail before our very eyes, because it's clear that Nintendo had a lot of ideas and a lot of hope for the franchise going forward. But for whatever reason, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Nintendo just lost interest in the series and now they're moving on to greener pastures. And now all that remains is Min Min players being carried in Smash, because let's be real, Min Min players, you're getting carried. But who knows, maybe an ARMS sequel is being worked on in some dark corner at Nintendo, so I'm very curious but afraid at the same time, but again, we'll just leave it at that. So thank you for watching, everybody. So ARMS, were you a big fan of the series? Were you hoping for something more from the series going forward, or anything else? Let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. Hit me up on the social media, Twitter, Instagram @ZMangs, and TikTok too, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, everybody. Take care.